Hi everyone, welcome to Friday night stream where we do the same thing we do every day. Today we have Bitcoin a little bit lower than where we were yesterday. 96,600 is the current price. Yesterday we were at 97,000. It was looking great, looking like we were about to hit 98,000, which we approached it around this morning approximately. I'm pretty sure this was just before we got non-farm payroll data. No, this was after, at 10 o'clock today. Okay, cool. So, what this means, we were not able to break the resistance, the first resistance at 98,300. Hang on a sec. I should be here. Because I have all my stuff drawn over here. Get out of here. There we are. So, I have this zone over here drawn, right? We did manage to stay above the green zone, but we weren't quite there. Like we didn't break the 98,300. So we're currently stuck around, seems like this area for now. What is this? 96,400. Okay, cool. We're using that as a support, the 96,000 zone. And then we're looking for the 98,000 to be able to break out of that. The highest point we reached today was 97,857. So we still got a while to go there. RSI is still looking at 58, meaning that we still have a lot of upward potential still. Although that might likely not come during this weekend. Because it's going to be a weekend, right? Man, I did not prepare at all for this. Loop that. There we go. Sweet. So, what's happening next? We're going to discuss that. We got the non-farm payroll data. We've got some Canada news. We got some US-China news. Some even Russia-Ukraine news. Just a little bit. Little parody thing. And then a lot of crypto news as well that we have to discuss today. So, let's talk about that. First, move towards Ethereum. Hasn't managed to move much as well from where it was yesterday. 0% movement today. 1,837. Hey, as long as we're above 1,800, it's pretty good. Solana is at 147, a little bit lower than where we were yesterday when we were at 150. Currently down 2.29%, using that pivot as our support, 146. I also realized one thing with these pivots. Why is it not showing in minutes? Am I blind? Oh, probably. I don't even need it in minutes, so it's seconds that's throwing me off. I don't need seconds. I'll keep the days, don't need weeks, don't need months. One thing I wanted to change, well, before I change that, is changing this to traditional. It's the same thing as classic, the one that I have been using. I was looking into what's the difference between all of these. For example, I'm pretty sure Camarilla is like for very intraday. DeMark is, I think, evenly spaced out. One of them was, I don't remember. Fibonacci, I don't even know where it's drawing its Fibonacci levels from, but I'm assuming it's just the pattern of Fibonacci, not based off of any specific levels. Like, it'll determine a pivot point and then draw the same distance on opposite sides, upward and downward from there. But traditional is literally the same thing as classic, except it has one more line right there, R5. Which I find useful in most cases because there have been instances like Sui's case, for example, that has rose so much. Talking about last week, for example. Let me turn on historical pivots and don't get confused with this. Even with that, right? Last week, we broke through all of our resistances with Sui because the upward momentum was just so strong. A lot of whale activity apparently was what was going on here with all this buying. So yeah, that completely broke everything out, and now we are more spaced out with our pivot levels, such to the point that we have not even touched any of them. We've been stuck like around here in the middle, averaging about $3.50, $3.50 I mean. Current price is $3.38. Not bad at all. Pivot level that we care about here is coinciding with Super Trend at 307, Fibonacci 311, and pivot itself 314. So look out for, I'd say on average, 310 seems to be our most important support for Sui at the current moment. I have this Fibonacci drawn, I don't know from what, I'm assuming from all-time high to recent low. Indeed it is. So it serves to figure out where our resistance levels would be. Let me go back to 4-hour chart here. First set of resistance, it's kind of coinciding with the $4 mark, which we have not achieved yet. We reached a high of 387 so far, and that happened on April 28th. So still got a while to go for Sui. Sui it has been performing very well. There's still the base camp going on. Day 2 is currently active. So you still have that going on for Sui. Now I do want to change just one thing here. First of all, the fonts to little 10. And this color, it's bothering me. I'll keep pivot. First pivot, white. Second one, gray. Third, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. I like to keep it like a gradient. It looks a little better, in my opinion. Right? Right. Anyway, that's just an aesthetic look. I'm trying to make pivots something I'd like to look at, right? Because I've noticed sometimes with pivots, like it's... Like, first of all, I still don't even know how it's determining the levels, but I just know that they work, and most traders respect those levels most of the time, right? They respect Fibonacci levels, they respect support resistance levels, and they should also respect pivot levels. I do have the super trend still here, indicating that it is green, and it's all the way up here. Now, it can easily be broken, obviously, if we break this support at 310 approximately. We'd be heading downwards up to where? Somewhere around over here where we have this 258 for Sui. In the case of a crash, though, it's not like it's going to happen first. You're going to have to drop here, which is 7%, and then in total, it's looking like a 24%, 25% drop from there, which I feel like is very unlikely to happen. And if we do drop, we'll be dropping to coincide around this kind of area, looking like 10th of May, although I really doubt it. Honestly, market... It's looking very bullish from here. I don't see a reason why it could drop, but you still must be prepared for if and when it inevitably drops. It will. It has to, right? We just don't know when, and I don't see a reason as to right now, so I'm discarding that for the moment, but still keeping it in the back of my mind in case we do get a drop. I'll be prepared for it. I'll be DCAing a little more. I'm paying attention to the RSI levels specifically, right? We are in an uptrend, and if we become oversold within this uptrend in the macro scale, which is why I've decided to spread out my time frames, I feel like that's a great opportunity for entry, in my opinion. Taking profits as well whenever you reached these overbought levels, right? Cool. It's a nice momentum indicator. I'm tired today. Let's go to XRP 220. It's doing a lot worse. It has not been able to pass 230. Well, it did 236, but overall this is a resistance that we've been looking for the past week. And yeah, just not much movement from XRP. We do have some news to discuss nonetheless, and we are still maintaining on our uptrend here as well. Downtrend has been broken. I don't know why I have not deleted it yet, but there you go. Yeah, the pivot levels look much better now, in my opinion. I'll keep these. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. No, I don't think I will. Yeah, I will. I'll keep them there. It's a hassle to set up again all these moving averages in case I want to trade like in short term. But realistically, I don't feel like I do that anymore. I'm just going to remove them, whatever. I also don't trade on this account anyway, although I do use it to run my trading bot in, but I have not put any money in here yet. I'm using a different strategy for now, and it's a longer term strategy. I'm going to slow down with my little intraday short-term scalp trades that I try to do. It's difficult to do that, and you're paying a lot of fees as well. It's better if you have a broad perspective of the market. Be patient. You have to be like really patient, and then enter when you see a great opportunity to enter, right? Buy when there's blood on the streets. We are still in a bull market. Nothing's going to change. What is going to destroy cryptocurrency? Nothing right now. It's being adopted by the whole world. We're getting there. We're still early, right? So it's not all over yet. If you think you're late to the party, you're not. Litecoin is at $87. We had some ETF announcement likely for Litecoin, which gave it a nice pump of 11% from its lowest point to the top point, reaching $90. But from there, we have now decayed to 87.39, using the 87 as a great support, which I am quite proud of. The first resistance that we coincided, of course, was resistance 1. That's where pivots come in clutch, right? Sometimes they do accurately predict where we could see a rise up to. So it accurately predicted the $90.81, $90.98, almost $91, right? But it did its job too well. It used that as a resistance and bounced down off from there. So we'll see what the next move for Litecoin is. My opinion, I think most cryptocurrencies will likely decay, or maybe if we do get a rise, try to at least stay above whatever uptrend we have drawn for most of these, given the lowest point. This goes for most, if not all, altcoins, by the way. The drop from April 7 and using support from April 30 drop, or one of these drops in April 19 or April 17. I'm looking at Sui's case for being that one off right over here, right? Because April 30 drop was not that bad for Sui, but April 20, like April 19 around over here, that's where we're using the 2 points for our uptrend that we were drawing for something like Sui, right? Most of other coins, though, I think that same principle applies. 21st April, yeah. This one did not reach yet. Let me look for Solana here. Solana is a good example of what I'm talking about. Similar deal to what we're seeing with Litecoin. 7th of April and 30th of April. You get me? 7th of April, 30th of April. How about Cardano here? Same thing. 7th of April, 30th April. So that's what you're going to want to look out for most of these. Hopefully maintaining this uptrend that we're drawn right over here. Cardano, and while we're here, it's at 69 cents, down 2.36% today. Was not able to go higher anymore from yesterday's little recovery that we had. Reached a high of 72 cents. It's fine. Resistance that we're looking at is 75. Nothing has really changed. Pivot support level, I would assume, is this zone between 67 and 68 cents. So we're currently above that, and as long as we maintain ourselves above that, we'll be fine. Realistically speaking, we can drop and get an adjustment if necessary, as long as we stay above 64. Otherwise, the uptrend would completely be invalidated. I wouldn't readjust it further. Super trend would turn bearish, and we'd be in a downtrend officially for Cardano once again. We have been in for a very long time, so hopefully that does not happen here. Back to Bitcoin, 96,500. I think we'll be fine for Bitcoin as well. Maybe some decay won't take us lower than 95,500, hopefully. That's where I have this zone drawn out over here. Served as resistance prior, right? And it will now be looking to be our support level to maintain us above this uptrend line. All right, cool. Let's get on to some news, which we do have some stuff to talk about. Of course, non-farm payroll data. It came in today. It came in above expectations. No, yeah, above expectations. But it still signifies a decrease in new jobs being added, right? That's what this really means. And the average hourly earnings, I don't know why it reported this on here. I wanted to talk about the other stuff, the unemployment rate, which came in line with expectations, which is perfect, 4.2%. So nothing changed there. The decent news was non-farm payroll. It's good for U.S. economy, but if the U.S. economy is fine, Jerome Powell will take it as, oh, the economy's fine. We don't need a rate cut, guys. Given that explanation, the chances of us seeing a rate cut, of course, in the next meeting is increased, which is why we saw a bit of a drop in the market earlier this morning. Yesterday was at 95%. Today it increased back to 97%. I know that little 2% difference, it means something, right? So that's where we currently are. And in terms of what's aggregated for the next meeting, this is what really upset the markets, myself included. The meeting in June. This used to be vice versa around, right? It looked like a 60% chance that we were going to get a rate cut in June, the upcoming meeting afterwards, right? But now that has flipped over to 64% chance of us not getting a rate cut in June, which, yeah, as I said, that upset the market a little bit. It's now looking like They were going to delay this rate cut until July 30, a 96% chance that we will be getting a rate cut because, okay, a rate cut does have to come. The question is when. Will it happen in June or will it happen in July now? We're obviously not going to get that in this upcoming meeting in May. And in total now, 1, 2, 3 rate cuts by end of this year when it used to be 4 just yesterday. So that's something that the market does not like. The market likes to see rate cuts happening. It happens and it weakens the US dollar so that other assets could surge above whatever US dollar, because, you know, you're going Bitcoin against US dollar. If US dollar decreases in value, Bitcoin will obviously rise in value naturally, right? So that's what we got from this. Grok's explanation says that the April 2025 non-farm payroll data shows mixed signals for the US dollar. There's strong job growth, 177K, which is above the expected 138K, suggesting a bullish outlook, supporting economic strength and potential rate hikes. That's not good. We don't want to get rate hikes, right? It's good for the US economy, but bad for the markets, right? The stock market, if you just invest, right? However, weaker wage growth, that's what it's talking about, the hourly earnings. There's a weaker wage growth at 0.2%. It's also below the expected 0.3%, introduces bearish signals by lowering inflation expectations. Markets likely reacted with a neutral to slightly bullish US dollar movement. That's why Bitcoin had a drop. US dollar strengthened, Bitcoin weakens, Bitcoin goes down. And that's kind of what we saw this morning. But it wasn't too crazy. Like, it didn't change anything. We're still maintaining ourselves above these levels. So it was just slight, like if you look at the 5-minute chart, you'll see some volatility kind of deal. Recent trends show such mixed data often leads to muted currency shifts. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's what we got for economic data there. Not too bad, but it did upset the markets today. That's why we're not above 98,000. That's why we did not break past this first resistance. I mentioned yesterday if we did get that good economic data, I mean, it should have been bad economic data, which would be good for the markets. I say good when it's good for me. Yeah, if the non-farm payroll data came in worse than expected, it would hurt Trump's ego, first of all. Markets would rise nonetheless because the Fed would have to cut inflation. Cut rates, right? Because of inflation. So that would have taken us above 98,000, and right now we could have possibly been on our way to 100,000 given this optimism that we got, but we were hit on the brakes by this non-farm payroll data, unfortunately. So that's your summary of that. Now, Trump and the China tariffs. Trump administration keeps saying that China is reaching out for trade talks, but Xi Jinping says that the US is contacting him to cut a deal. So which one is it? It's like they're both like trying to say like, no, we're the people who don't need the other ones, and look, they're coming to our doorstep begging for a trade deal, when it's usually the other way around. But we don't even know which one's right anymore. They're both saying it's been like this for a while now, right? Yeah, no big changes. What is this? Lo-fi MAGA video to relax and study to. Oh my gosh. The White House has been starting to post a lot of memes. I'm not sure who their social media intern is, but I don't know. I think they're doing a great job. It's pretty funny. It makes me laugh. Just the fact that the White House Twitter account is posting. I don't actually want to listen to this. I just want to go to their profile. Get out, get out, get out, get out. Stop. Okay. Oh man, they're posting a lot. Yeah, literally this. Come on. What does this say? Deport pro-Hamas radicals, promises kept, combat anti-Semitism, Hamas sympathizers on... Why is this all about Israel? Foreign policy, Trump deportations come to campus. Trump takes aim at foreign-born college students with 300 visas revoked. Trump pro-Hamas purge could block foreign students from colleges, keeping men out of women's sports, promises made. La la la, transgender, children, mutilation. Nice. So they're posting memes like this. It's kind of DEI means deport every illegal. That's pretty funny. You can I don't remember liking that, but yeah, it was pretty funny. Anyway, stuff like that is pretty cute to see. Anyways, back to China. Temu. I mentioned this before. They were upping their prices thanks to the tariffs. And now they've announced that they are halting all direct shipping from China due to the ongoing tariffs. So are they just completely stopping stopping sales to their biggest customer, the United States, because of these tariffs? I mean, they do sell stuff for cheap, and if it's expensive already in that case, it's going to be worse with tariffs. So I'm assuming this is their kind of way of protesting this tariff stuff. Like, okay, we don't want tariffs, so, you know, we're going to stop. Nice, nice. Well, sucks if you can't use Temu. I don't really use it anyway. North Korean troops. This is the Russia-Ukraine news I wanted to talk about. North Korean troops, we know that they're in Ukraine, fighting Ukrainians for Russia. They mistakenly shot down a significant number of Russian drones, believing that they were Ukrainian. Wow. They're not very bright, are they? Moving on. Speaking as well of Ukraine, I don't remember if I covered this, but yes, it's official. US covered. The US just cut a massive minerals deal with Ukraine. That's step one toward maybe getting to a peace deal. Okay, great. I think I did cover that. But Canada now, they were once America's top resource partner, is now being excluded from that. And also they're getting the tariffs, right? Canada's getting the tariffs from the United States here. For decades, Canada has supplied the US with critical minerals. We're not talking small changes. Over 50% of Canada's mineral exports go to the US. Minerals make up about 5% of Canada's gross domestic product. Nickel, potash, uranium exports are up to 80% US dependent. Then came the Canada-Trump standoff. I'm taking my pants off. It's very hot in my room. Then, okay, Trump's tariffs on Canadian minerals blindsided Ottawa. Instead of working toward a new deal, Carney has dug in and refused to concede, and now the US is quietly replacing Canada in its supply chain. They're killing us softly. The US-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund now gives the US market access to lithium, nickel, cobalt, titanium, rare earths, and uranium. These are the same resources that anchor Canada's mineral economy. Here's the punchline. The US isn't just punishing Canada, it's diversifying at record speed. Deals with Ukraine, Australia, Chile, domestic producers are cutting Canada out. Meanwhile, Canada has no fallback. It's not looking that great for Canada. Mark Carney has talked about diversifying Canada's customer base. He did say that. But let's be blunt. The US is moving faster to diversify its suppliers than Canada is to diversify its buyers. That mismatch is dangerous. When half your exports in a sector go to one buyer, that buyer holds the power. Lose that buyer, and you don't just lose income, you lose pricing power, market influence, and national leverage. Carney can stand his ground with Trump all he wants, but without building new export markets, his chest-puffed ego battle means little. It's not a strategy, it's self-sabotage, and Canada's economy is going to be the one paying the price. It's not good. While Carney talks, competitors are hustling. Australia is locking in deals with Korea and Japan. Chile is expanding lithium exports. The US is reshoring mining. He's still clinging to the hope that Trump will change course while pretending he knows what he's doing. Carney has framed the US dispute as a temporary rift, but the reality is tariffs will bite deeper. Canada's market share is shrinking. Our country is drifting from price setter to price taker. This is not just about minerals, it's about national strategy. The US is building a global network of suppliers. To Washington, D.C., Canada is starting to look less like a partner and more like just another vendor. Bottom line, the US-Ukraine deal is a wake-up call. If Carney does not break the deadlock and open new markets, Canada risks going from indispensable to irrelevant. The time to pivot is right now. There you go. Interesting. Yeah. It's not looking that great, though. we gotta hope that this Carney guy does something. He addressed the press for the first time after getting elected today. He addressed them. Not he didn't get elected today. He got elected on Monday. But no, and I mean, he just mentioned some stuff like, oh, the king is gonna come over. I'm gonna speak with President Trump next Tuesday, and yeah, I don't know, some other stuff. So it's what was I gonna look at? Oh yeah, speaking of Chile over here, I heard there was an earthquake. Earthquake. I think there was an earthquake in Chile. Yeah, Argentina and Chile, 7.5 magnitude earthquake. Wow, that looks violent. And within minutes, a tsunami warning was issued. People rushed toward higher ground, leaving homes behind. Yeah, this is not covered anywhere here. I figured this out by family, like I didn't even know. Anyway, that was just a side note. Moving on. Recent report, this is talking about the current state of Canada. Oh yeah, this is another talking point from Mark Carney. He said that he will get Canada out of this crisis, is what he's saying. I don't even know, man. You have liberals destroying the country for 10 years, and then you put another liberal in. That's like the narrative that Canada is experiencing right now. Honestly don't even know what to think. But a recent report predicts that U.S. tariffs could lead to the loss of more than 68,000 jobs in Ontario. Some of the stuff that Mark Carney was mentioning was literally stuff that Pierre Poillievre proposed, and I don't know. It feels like that's being stolen. The words are being stolen from Pierre Poillievre most of the time, because I heard the exact same thing that he said today being spoken by Pierre Poillievre. The thing about keeping up with housing, with immigration, all that stuff, creating more jobs. Yeah, I don't know. And Pierre, of course, had better stuff to talk about as well, like in terms of tax cuts and all that kind of things. But yeah, Danielle Smith also said something that, Mark Carney is pushing for the Climate Change Act, net zero stuff. I talked about a bit about that yesterday. And she's saying, but Alberta is a great exporter of minerals, of course, and oil, natural gas, things like that, non-renewable resources. And that's just going to impact things worse, right, for Canadian economy if that gets pushed aside. So it's going to be a problem. Speaking of that kind of stuff in terms of petrol, gasoline just broke $198 a gallon, which is the lowest in years. Donald Trump is just flexing what his economy is looking like right now. Groceries and eggs are down, energy is down, mortgage rates are down, employment is strong, and much more good news as billions of dollars pour in from tariffs. Just like I said, we're only in a transition stage and we're just getting started. Consumers have been waiting for years to see pricing come down. No inflation, the Fed should lower its rate, DJT. He obviously is calling on Jerome Powell to cut interest rates, showing that, with his chest out, hey, look how good the U.S. economy is. Cut rates. Hey, maybe they will. I don't know. But this $198 a gallon, is this right? What, 38 cents per liter for gas? Is that real? I'm gonna have to do some math. How many liters in a gallon? It's 3.78. So we would divide this 198 divided by that. Okay, it says 52 cents. Oh, but this is in US dollar. Right. Okay, 52, okay. USD to CAD. So if we're talking about 52 cents, that's 72 cents a liter. Okay, I don't know where this guy got this 38 cents from, but it's actually, for me to understand, 72 cents a liter for gasoline. That's pretty darn good. Right now, it's like $1.30, $1.40. I think it's starting to rise again. It did come down temporarily, but that was during Mark Carney's campaign run, just to kind of seem like, hey, look, I was put in as Prime Minister by the Liberals. Nobody voted for me. I get it. But look how good I'm doing. I'm already bringing gas prices down, so vote for me. And he got people to actually vote for him. He won. Now that he's in, he's already jacked up the prices. So there you go. Can I check right now? I'm not going to check. It doesn't matter. 72 cents, though, like, that would be so much better. And that is what the United States is technically paying for their gas. If you want to see that from a Canadian perspective. So imagine paying for that. Yeah, like, that would be so much better. But no, you decided to go against Trump. That's literally what why the Liberals won. It's because people didn't want, somebody to fight Donald Trump, right? You get it? Or elbows up, orange man, bad. It just doesn't make sense. Like, Trump would absolutely be much better president. Just a nexus by now, honestly. I'm ready to be an American. It's fine. But there's still hope. There's still hope. We know that Pierre Poillievre, he lost his seat in Parliament because he lost his riding in Ottawa. If you don't know what that means, there's different little districts, we call them ridings in Canada, of candidates, right? Politicians being voted in. And where Pierre Poilievre is from, it's Carleton, Ottawa. He did not win. A Liberal candidate beat him. So he lost his seat in Parliament. He didn't win that district of his, right? So now another Conservative member of Parliament gave up his seat so that Pierre Poilievre could run in the by-election. A by-election, it would just be specific to that area, once again. It's likely, I think, I don't remember where it is. River Crowfoot. Where is that? He gave this tweet, Pierre Poilievre says that, "It is with humility and appreciation that I have accepted Damien Courec's offer to resign his seat in, it's in Battle River, Crowfoot, so that he can work to earn the support of citizens there to serve them in Parliament." So he couldn't win in Ottawa. He's now moving to a different place. I'm looking this up. I don't know where it is. In Alberta. I knew it was going to be Alberta. Because Alberta is absolutely conservative, so it's a safe spot. If he's going to run a by-election, which means like just this area, this little bit of land, is going to have their own election again, just to change member of parliaments. There's obviously going to be a Liberal candidate, an NDP candidate, maybe, and a Conservative, right? And Pierre Poilievre will be the Conservative candidate for this area, so that when he inevitably gets elected, because Alberta is a very conservative province, he will get a seat back in Parliament so that he can continue battling against the Liberals, which is, that's pretty much what we want. It makes sense. I'm happy to hear this news. I'm happy that Pierre Poilievre isn't just quitting after this election. He's still going to be fighting, so that's good. He's saying that, well, he's, thanking Damien, of course. Thank you, Damien, on everybody's behalf. It's a selfless act to step aside temporarily as Member of Parliament to show his commitment to change and restoring Canada's promise. He will work to earn the trust of the good people of Battle River Crowfoot. He will continue to hold the Liberal minority government to account until the next federal election, when we will bring real change to all Canadians. Great. Beautiful news. That's all we have for Canadian stuff. Let's talk about some US stock companies. Amazon. New filing shows that Jeff Bezos plans to sell up to 25 million shares, which is worth $5 billion of Amazon stock. He's cashing out $5 billion. What are you going to do with $5 billion, Mr. Jeff Bezos? Maybe buy Bitcoin? No, that would be pretty funny, though. There was a rumor about that, actually. Like, he might buy Bitcoin. No, I don't think he will. He's already rich enough. Why does he need a very risky asset? Although he probably understands the power. He's one of the richest men on Earth. Who knows? S&P 500 records 9th consecutive day of gains, the longest winning streak in over 20 years. This is why when there's blood on the streets, you buy. specifically referring to, when you see a drop as severe as Black Monday, I think is what we called it, then, that's a great chance to buy. Things will recover eventually. People just get scared for tiny reasons, no reason, right? So yeah. And it's usually, they say this like, it's been proven, right? The best days of the S&P 500's growth, or most US indices, is right after a crash. Like right after this huge crash happens, you get this incredible growth all the way back up, and even more. You recover even higher than what you were. So we should be seeing, I haven't looked at the S&P 500 in a minute, so according to this, it's the 9th consecutive day of gains. What is it, US 500 or SPY? Is it better? I don't even know. This is a weekly chart. Let me go to a daily chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Indeed. And flipping trends over here. Bullish again. So we're looking to reach the high point of 611. This is an ETF, so it's like divided by 10, I think. The real price of this is like 6,100, the all-time high. We're at 5,669. I could just go to US 500. What am I doing with life? Here we go. Yeah, 6,001. This is like the real price of the S&P 500. So we're on our way back up, and we're not too far off, actually. From here to here, that's an 8% rise. That can absolutely be done in maybe a week or two, right? So we're kind of back, in my opinion. No need to fear here. Good stuff. Good stuff for the S&P 500 and people who invest in stocks. I kind of do, but not really. I mainly buy MicroStrategy, and for good reason. MicroStrategy is now up more than 3,000% since they started adopting the Bitcoin standard a couple years ago. Look, you're outperforming Bitcoin itself, outperforming Nvidia, all the Mag 7 companies, Tesla, Meta, Google, Microsoft, Apple. You're outperforming the biggest US indices, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500. You're outperforming gold, Amazon, VNQ, I think that is. I don't remember what VNQ is. Some random ETF, Vanguard. Real estate ETF. I didn't even know this existed. Do they give dividends? Yes, they do. Well, that's a pretty good dividend, but it's a high stock price. I don't know. I have to do the math later. I don't know what the yield is. Doesn't matter. And what even is BND? Bond markets? Yes. Cool, you can invest in bonds through ETF with Vanguard. There you go. It's interesting to see this, of course, right? MicroStrategy has been performing very well. But I don't know how long they will be able to maintain that. They do keep buying Bitcoin, though, and they're adopting their projects. They're always raising money to buy even more Bitcoin. And with Bitcoin's parabolic growth, MicroStrategy can absolutely take advantage of that. If you are not able to invest in the cryptocurrency market directly due to regulatory reasons or area restrictions, whatever, but you do have the ability to invest into stocks, US stocks, then yeah, MicroStrategy would be probably your go-to move. Or you can also, that's why there's the Bitcoin ETFs as well, offered by, BlackRock, Grayscale, Vanguard, I'll give you the whole list over here. You get the idea, right? Fidelity, Bitwise, ARK, Invesco, Franklin, Valkyrie, VanEck, etc. Speaking of ETFs, $422 million inflow yesterday. Literally nothing today. Wow, really no inflows today. Except for BlackRock, we don't know for sure. Maybe BlackRock will come in clutch once again. Man, BlackRock has been inflowing like crazy though this week and the previous week. All inflows. Not bad. Grayscale, not too heavy with the outflows either, so that is much appreciated. How is Ethereum ETFs doing? I've not checked either. Pretty inactive. Mainly outflows coming from Grayscale, of course. How much more do they have left, man? When are they going to run out of Ethereum? Just sell it all off. Literally zero inflows and full outflows. They've outflowed 4 billion in Ethereum. Overall, 2 billion in inflows ever since ETF inception, but still it seems to not be enough given the fact that Ethereum was 3,600 approximately when ETFs went live. Now we're at 1,000. Are we 1,800 Ethereum? That is upsetting, man. Really upsetting. Literally half of what the price was. Anyways, let's talk about now price predictions for Bitcoin here. The forecasts for this year, 2025, I mentioned this all the time. We are indeed still in a bull cycle. How far can we go? This is what the institutional investors are saying. Standard Chartered is looking at $200,000. HC Wainwright, I never heard of them, 225,000. I'll just redo the numbers. 135,000 to 285,000. BlackRock thinks, wow, BlackRock thinks $700,000 Bitcoin for this. I think that's a little too unrealistic. Come on. Come on, man. 700,000 Bitcoin? Really? That's like a 7x from here? In 1 year? I don't think so. I'd be happy if it does, but no, it's very unrealistic in my opinion. Like even oh no, I was gonna say Kathy Wood thinks from ARK Investments thinks that Bitcoin would reach 1 million by 2030, but it was 3 million, I think it was, by 2030 or something like that. She keeps increasing her target, which is insane, but she's usually wrong, so I wouldn't trust her much anyway. Fundstrat thinks 250,000. Anthony Pompliano 250,000 as well. Chamath Palihapitiya 500,000. Vanek 180,000. I agree with 180,000. 10x Research thinks 122,000. I think you're too conservative, but absolutely will be hitting that. GFOX Survey 150,000, reasonable target as well. I'm thinking 180 to 220 maybe. They're ranging from 122,000 to $700,000 according to major banks, investors, and funds. Most estimates fall between 200 and 250,000. And BlackRock's 700,000 target is assuming a 2 to 5% institutional portfolio allocation to Bitcoin. Okay, it's not too bad. Their other core theses are from macro hedge, institutional flows. The halving cycle will have its effect. Regulatory clarity is also coming. Quantile modeling, I've never heard of that. Liquidity boom, I agree with this, of course. The M2 money supply. Demand shock, right? That is also happening with the exchange balances currently at all-time lows. Monetary escape valve, I don't know what that would specifically mean. Institutional roadmap makes sense. A lot of institutional adoption, right? Technical rally as well, it's supposed to happen. And the sentiment index, the FOMO will start kicking in. Absolutely, I agree with that. So yeah, all of these do make sense for 2025. Like I said, you're still early. You're not late. Bull run is still happening, right? As we were speaking. It just takes a while. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes a couple months. You just got to be patient. And don't believe me, we'll bet on it. You don't bet any money, I'll bet all my money, and we'll see who's richer. Bitcoin's market cap dominance hits a new 4-year high. You know what that means? Alt season not happening yet, but Bitcoin dominance, of course. It's a good indicator that most people are buying and holding onto Bitcoin instead of other altcoins, which that is important. It's good news. And then once this starts dropping, I mean, okay, even with this, given this right now, altcoins are technically not having their boom yet because the market cap has not moved to there. 60%, 64% of all the market cap is in Bitcoin. You want to take advantage of alt season, I think is also a good time to buy. Wherever it is right now, don't even pay attention to price. Not financial advice, by the way. Ethereum, though, given the fact that it has 4 consecutive red months, which sucks, by the way. April already finished. We just started May. We're looking at Ethereum, yeah, 4 months of red. Surely by now it has to be green. I know I said this last month, but okay, maybe this time it has to be green, right, guys? It's already starting off a little green. this is also an indicator of, okay, maybe now is a good time to start getting into alts as well, if you really, really want to be early. But how much can Ethereum return? That's to be questioned. I think there's better options personally, right? Like, I don't know, maybe Sui or Solana. But yeah, ultimately it's up to you. I think Litecoin is still a good buy as well. We know that guaranteed easy 140, right? Easily can reach that, which how much percentage is that? And it's not even its all-time high, 140, by the way. Let me go to here. It's a 60% increase almost. That's not too bad, is it? Sui to reach its $5 target. I think it's obviously going to go much higher than that. Also another 60%. Yeah, most of these have a 60% potential. How about Ethereum? Ethereum is... I don't know about Ethereum, honestly. We need the staking ETFs approved, and then we can start talking about Ethereum for major upside movement. I'm hoping for at least. Ripple's become the first blockchain-powered payment provider licensed by the Dubai Financial Services Authority. That's good. Countries adopting cryptocurrency, blockchain, and Ripple is always being talked about to work with governments. They like Ripple. So that's good for them. On the other hand, though, you have other governments like the European Union. They will be banning anonymous cryptocurrency and privacy tokens by 2027. So that's not good news for Monero, which is literally focused on that to be private blockchain oriented kind of deal, private DeFi. Like we had that story of that hacker who stole Bitcoin, bridged it over, sent it to Monero, and tried to cash out, money launder that way. It's a smart way to do it, but even John McAfee says only criminals use Monero because they do it for money laundering purposes. Nobody can trace them, track them. You know what I'm saying? But that's only the European Union, so I don't think it would have too much of an impact on Monero. XMR. Great, we don't even have this in existence. Did they delist it? Maybe it was never listed here. I also tried to look up Compound, and it's not listed on BingX. That's odd. XMR Monero. It's up today. Okay, so it seems like this news didn't have too much of an impact on it. Good. Ripple as well, rumored to raise their Circle takeover bid to $20 billion after a $5 billion offer was rejected. Ripple is trying to buy out Circle. They offered $5 billion. It was rejected. Now they're offering $20 billion. They really want Circle. They will be able to take over USDC. I don't know why. And also their IPO that will be launching on the stock market, which was delayed. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. eToro is also launching an IPO in the US as soon as next week is what they're saying. It's a crypto and retail stock trading platform, eToro, if you've never heard of it. And they're reportedly planning a US IPO next week. It's something that when you release it on the stock market, initial public offering, that's what it stands for. It would revive ambitions delayed by tariff-driven market volatility, as per Seeking Alpha report. The fintech sector, including platforms like eToro, has faced challenges with IPO activities slowing since 2022, pushing many firms toward private funding, according to 2023 McKinsey report. So it's going to be another kind of like a Coinbase or a Robinhood that we see on the stock market. eToro's move raises concerns about centralization in crypto. That is also an issue, as noted by some other users. Since the platform engages with DeFi, which is a sector rooted in decentralized finance. So yeah, that is true. If eToro is using DeFi and then you're moving it over to a regulated stock exchange, right? You're killing the purpose of decentralization is what that means. So we'll see. Did you know you can buy Dogecoin with Tesla? I know that is probably very old news. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody knows this, but it just hit me like, okay, Bitcoin still hasn't been at it. It was before, like, you could buy Tesla's vehicles using Bitcoin, but then Elon Musk removed that and said something about about Bitcoin not being environmentally friendly, because to mine Bitcoin you require a lot of energy. But now, you have different ways of mining Bitcoin, right? That does not require that kind of electricity. Like you could use volcanic energy like El Salvador is doing, or many different ways, right? Because Tesla is supposed to be an electric car company and they're supposed to care about the environment. And Bitcoin is not caring about the environment with their mining, right? So he said that once they solve that problem, then he'd consider adding Bitcoin to buy Teslas. But there's no word on that yet. And this is something that's been going on for years now. So no confirmation on that. I'm just here to announce that you can still do it with Dogecoin. And I mean, hey, if you really are trying to save up to buy a Tesla one day, and, you know, you can maybe start DCAing into Dogecoin, which will obviously increase in price from where it is right now. It's basically free money. It's like a government program. It's like an RESP or something where you're saving up for education and the government just gives you grants, right? But instead of it's the government giving you grants, it's basically Dogecoin increasing in value, right? Give it like, let me give you 1 month and go retroact. Okay, more than that. Let me give you 1 year and go retroactively here. Let's say if it reaches 46 cents, even not even 46 cents, from 18 cents that it currently costs, even if it reaches like something like 20 cents, you've already grown your capital and you can use that to purchase a Tesla, right? Depending on how much you put, of course. You're not going to just drop $100 and expect to buy a Tesla. It's not going to happen. Something that you have to keep on buying, put a couple $1,000s in, maybe like, I don't know, 15,000. And then by the time that this increases in value, maybe if it reaches 45, what is that, 3x? You multiply 15,000 by 3. Yeah, it's literally, you'd have $40,000 almost. And you could use that to buy a Tesla. Maybe. I don't know. It's just possibilities of what you can do. Maybe I might start doing that. I don't know. Because they accept Dogecoin for payments. And alt season is coming. Let's see. The timing. Alt season. Is it going to happen? Yes, it will happen. Usually begins roughly 320 days after a Bitcoin halving. That target has been hit. Why? Because last Bitcoin halving was April 8, I think, or April 16 last year. We're in May of the following year, right? The Fed, the macro perspective. The Fed hasn't pivoted. Quantitative tightening is still draining. Rates are above 4%. Global liquidity is improving, but crypto lags by roughly 12 weeks. We're talking about the M2 money supply, right? The June cut odds are rising, but Powell hasn't flinched yet. That's why what he says in the next meeting is actually going to be really important because it's the determining factor of whether or not we're getting a rate cut in June or in July. If it's going to be in June, markets will start rallying. If it's in July, they will dislike that, but it'll be a delayed process, right? It will still continue higher, but it's just going to be delayed, right? Investors want to hear we will be getting a rate cut next time, or the time for a rate cut is coming very soon. Something like that. We need those words from Jerome Powell next week, Wednesday, when he announces the Fed rates decision. Market structure. Bitcoin dominance still climbing. Usually the chart that I showed you here, this needs to break below 54% for real rotation. Matter of fact, I'm going to draw that. Can I? Yes, I can. What did I say? 54? Yes. 54%. And I'm also going to tag this. I could add text here. Alt C son. 10 font size. Yes. So whenever we break this down, I'll know for sure we will be hitting alt season. A little good indicator for myself. Ethereum to Bitcoin, if you compare the two, like the chart that compares Bitcoin to Ethereum, ETH BTC, it's just at an all-time low level, right? It's really, really bad. But it is also an indicator of, okay, we are oversold. What happens when we're oversold? You stop being oversold. You can't go more oversold than what you are. And that is likely to start reversing soon as Bitcoin dominance weakens, as Ethereum gets stronger. Ethereum does have to lead the way, and other altcoins will start to follow. Did I get that right? It's bad, but it hasn't bottomed decisively yet. Bitcoin needs to get above its all-time high without sucking the air out of altcoins. That is true. The capital flows. Stablecoin supply is growing. which is quietly bullish, right? There's more and more stable coins in existence in the market. What are you going to do with stable coins? You're going to buy cryptocurrency. Altcoins mainly, it seems like. Altcoin volume is high, but it is mostly speculative churn, not conviction. On-chain, the dev activity hasn't been this low since January 2021. Its active wallets and transactions have dropped since November 2024. Plus, token unlocks and spam coins are flooding the market. Selling pressure is real. That is also true. We have way too many meme coins, other altcoins that do literally the same thing that are unpopular, just being added into the market. More and more utility coins. Like, which one do you even use anymore, right? You have so many options. And ultimately, that just dilutes the altcoin market, which is why they are very low right now. But only a select few will survive and thrive, and they will have great returns for sure. The sentiment, retail is still asleep. Google trends and social metrics are near lows. Fear and greed still at neutral. Alt season index still stuck on Bitcoin season. This is important because retail is not really that interested in Bitcoin right now. They will be, though, once we do start seeing headlines like Bitcoin is above 100,000 again. Bitcoin has braked 110,000, marking a new all-time high. Bitcoin is approaching 120,000. All these other countries are starting to buy Bitcoin. These institutions will start buying Bitcoin. The FOMO will start kicking in. People will be like, oh, what is a Bitcoin? And they start investigating and they'll start investing in it. You know, they'll see Bitcoin already rising to 150, 180,000. And they'll be like, okay, well, Bitcoin's too expensive. I don't want to buy that anymore. What is an Ethereum? What is a Cardano? What is an XRP? What is a Solana? Right? They'll start buying altcoins. And that's when alt season will start kicking in. Regulation. Winds are shifting. Enforcement actions have slowed. ETF filings are piling up. That is also true. Once all those ETFs just get approved, Ethereum staking, Solana ETF, XRP ETF, the crypto, what was it called again? The crypto index, the crypto strategic reserve that was going to be announced by the US government. What else were we getting? Solana ETF, SUI ETF, Avalanche ETF I heard of as well, Polkadot ETF. There's a lot of ETFs waiting, right? It's going to happen. Trump's new executive order on crypto is also a net positive. So what needs to happen before the real alt season begins? Bitcoin dominance falling below 54%, which I've now marked that over here. Fed officially ends quantitative tightening and signals rate cuts, which can likely happen in June or July. That's to be determined by next week, Wednesday. We don't know if it's going to happen here or here. It's likely happening in July for now, but the percentage was here at some point, so we're hoping to see that again. Bitcoin holds a new all-time high, plus while capital inflows into alts, not away from them. Until then, every pump is just noise for now, is what he thinks. Okay, cool. I did not mean to zoom in. What are you doing? Cool. That's what we have. Stop zooming in. Why is my computer zooming in? That's all we have for that. Okay, done. Last bit of news. GTA 6 got delayed. If you were expecting it to come out end of this year, it's not going to happen. Now it's going to happen May 26, 2026, 1 year from now. And given that Take-Two Interactive, T2, falls 10% in the pre-market. Not a lot of people like that. I want to look this up. T2. Last time I looked up something related to Grand Theft Auto, I looked up Rockstar, I think. Rockstar does make it, but apparently it's Take-Two Interactive. They're the ones who are really working on it. Had a nice drop of 10% over here. Or even lower. I'm blind. No, it is 10%, is it? 16%. Wow. They were quickly recovered a little bit and ended up only with a 7% drop for today, approximately. Yeah. Anyways, I'll never play it anyway. Ooh, what do I care? And maybe some of you people care, so that's why I decided to share. All right, that is all for today. Bitcoin still 96,500. That ends the stream here. What is next? Flatness. I'll come back tomorrow and explain maybe what we're getting next week. But for now, it's looking very chilled. All right. That'll be all for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for 390, I think, subscribers. I don't remember. I still have to focus on reading. I have reading stuff in Spanish, la la la. I still have a long way to go for reading these books. So expect more Spanish